Still good morning. My name is Genie Yuan. I'm going to spend the next 25 minutes with all of us here today. All right, we're going to talk about how we're going to build a mobile application on NoSQL. All right, and why do we need to do that? And how is that going to solve our problem? All right, so without further ado, I got my colleague joining with me today, Benjamin, right, who is going to show you a demo. Right, we're not only talking about it, we're actually going to show you how that can be done easily. Right, so this is what I'm going to cover today. Why mobile? How Couchbase sees the edge computing? All right, because when we're talking about mobile apps, we're talking about pushing the data, storage, and compute to the edge. So we're going to do that. Then obviously, we're going to talk about why Couchbase is the best fit. And later on, Ben will give you a demo. Now, a lot of you probably have not heard about Couchbase. Yeah? Any of you heard Couchbase before? Yes? Right, thank you. Organizer does know Couchbase. That's fantastic. Okay, so let's get some idea, give you some idea what we can do, right? So that's what the Candy is here for. So if you get that right, just 30%, right? Okay, first one, put their hands up. What's the throughput do you think we can handle? 2 nodes, 40 core each node, 64 gig of RAM, 50/50 write, 1K batch, half kilobytes of document size, KB operation, key value operation. How many operations do you think we can get? 3,000, 30,000, 3 million. Anyone? Any guess? Yes. 3 million. Are you so confident? All right, it is actually 3 million. There you go. All right, we can handle 3 million operations per second with 2 nodes. All right, we have 10 to 15 million operations per second with much bigger deployment. It's a matter of fact that iOS user right now, Apple ID runs on Couchbase. Right? Think about the performance you get. Right? That's correct. How about latency? All right, similar a slightly bigger setup, 99.9%, runs on 1 millisecond, 100 milliseconds, or 1 second. What do you think? What do you think? Everyone goes to, give everyone someone else an opportunity to get some candy. 100 milliseconds, not quite close. 1 millisecond, 99.9% of them are down to 1 millisecond. That's what we can do. Thank you. Right, ready for more? Yeah? Okay. How about replication? Cross data center. Two node to 2 nodes, right? 48 core, 256 gig RAM, 100 million records, 1 kilobyte document size. How fast do you think we can actually transfer the data from one cluster to another? 250,000, 25, 2.5 million. Anyone? Yes. Everyone aim for the highest number. Not quite right this time. Try again. Try again. Come on, it's only another 2. 50%. Option A, 250,000. I think that's correct. There you go. There you go. All right, fantastic. I got a few more. You guys hungry or not? You want some chocolate? Okay. Latency through Java SDK, real stuff, right? You're calling your stuff, you're building your app, you're calling from your Java SDK. What's the latency do you think you're going to get? YCSB, workload A, I think it's 95% read, 5% write, if I'm not mistaken. Right? 0.15 millisecond, 50 millisecond, 150 milliseconds. Come on. A, 0.15 millisecond. Well done. You guys are really good at this. Here you go. Okay, last one. Last one. What do you think the throughput is going to be? 40K, 4 million, 400K. Single node. Sorry, 3 nodes. through the SDK? Come on. There is no penalty if you get it wrong. Anyone? Anyone? Come on, give it a try. Just one out of the three. C, 400K. Well done. That's 400K. Here you go. I'm very good at throwing, as you can see. OK. All right. What is Couchbase? We are a multi-model distributed in memory, memory-first architecture. That's why we're so fast. Someone was asking me a question. What was your superpower? Fast. OK, one of them. So very important, high performance. We're clustering. We are managing data through in the cluster. Obviously, you can deploy everywhere from the cloud all the way to the edge. Now, today, we are not going to focus on talking about Couchbase Server, but we're going to talk about Couchbase Lite, which is the component that we can put it into the edge device. I'm going to show you a little bit more. But Couchbase as a company forms about 11 years ago, and we listed 2 years back, okay, in the US. And we are serving our customer all around the globe. And we have some amazing logos. Okay, amazing logo. Literally every day, whatever you're doing, you just have no idea the stuff are running on Couchbase. Okay? We're going to show you a bit more later on. Now, today, as I said, Couchbase has many, many capabilities, many of them. And today, we're going to focus on only the last one, which is the offline first mobile. Okay? Later on, we're going to have more other sessions to talk about other capabilities, like the SQL capability runs on document database. How can we actually make KV so fast? All right, and obviously cross data center replication, that kind of things as well. But today, we're going to focus on how we're going to push the compute and the storage to the edge. All right, so how do we see mobile and edge compute? See that. Now, if I can find the cable here, which I can, plug it in. You probably know what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you a video if they're going to play. Yes, it does.
We've all been there. You try to go online, but you have to wait. That's because apps often rely on the cloud for storing and processing data, so they're subject to the unreliability of the internet. Inconvenient? Sure. But when data lags, bad things can happen. Vital equipment can experience downtime. Business can grind to a halt. Property can be damaged. Lives can even be affected. Enter edge computing. Edge computing brings data and processing power closer to the users and devices that need it, reducing latency and increasing uptime. And when you want speed and availability for your apps, you need a database that is purpose-built for edge computing. And Couchbase is just that. Couchbase securely syncs from the cloud to the edge, guaranteeing the data your apps need is always available and always fast. Couchbase gives you the power to store, query, search, and analyze your data in the cloud or at the edge, regardless of internet connectivity and speed. Since 2014, Couchbase mobile and edge solutions have helped customers across a wide variety of industries leverage the power of edge computing. With Couchbase edge computing, manufacturing becomes more efficient. Retailers provide a premium experience for their customers. Infrastructure grows more safe and reliable with less downtime. And healthcare facilities provide real-time diagnosis with full privacy compliance. Multiplayer gaming, utilities, construction, onboard services for cruise ships and airlines. Any industry where applications require high availability and speed, regardless of internet connectivity, will benefit from Couchbase edge computing. Couchbase is cloud-native, edge-ready, and available in AWS Marketplace. Get started today. Couchbase, the modern database for enterprise applications.
I guess my job is done here. Too easy. All right, so obviously, there are lots of research and prediction says the next generation is in the cloud. And then next morning they come up and say, you know what? Edge is going to generate more data. So the interesting challenge we're going to face is we're building up all of those, our infrastructure. Then do we actually need to travel all the way through to the edge when we actually put all the compute in the center? Obviously, the answer is not, right? So we actually see a lot more use case that's actually pushed to the edge. So let me define our definition of edge computing. So a lot of people think edge computing is only based on the devices that you have at providing the compute and the storage. We have a slightly broader scope. If you're looking at a warehouse or hospital, all right, that where you're actually pushing, you have a server down there that are actually doing compute and the storage. We define that as edge computing as well, because you can use that data and the compute and sync certain amounts of information back into your central cloud location as well. Think about you have multiple hospitals, right? Think about you have multiple stores. So every single store itself is an edge compute hub. Okay, obviously each individual device within that hub as well. So here's some scenarios I want to talk to you about. I think this is a very standard cloud computing architecture, right? Everyone knows about it. When everything works, fantastic, all right? Thanks for the internet. Now, I think you actually see some of those scenarios when internet is not so good. And obviously, natural disaster or whatever other reason, there are some downtime as well. So in that scenario, all of your client devices are going to stop working, isn't it? Right? So that's when your C-level come down to you and say, where is my business continuity plan? Right? And we should tell them and say, we should talk about it right now, not when we have a problem. So what does that mean is we looking at a slightly different architecture here. This is where we talk about edge computing architecture. Okay, so in this case, when internet is good, then obviously everyone's still happy. But when we actually have some problems on the internet, where your edge computing data center will continue operate, right? Because within here, you actually use the LAN connections, right? Bluetooth, everything should still work. And if your LAN actually have any problem, your edge device should still work. Okay, so that's actually when Couchbase will come in and say, if you actually put Couchbase, more specifically Couchbase Lite, which is a lightweight NoSQL database, right? Same as the one that you saw in server, and you push that into individual devices as well as your edge data center, they will just perform. Okay, so the idea is to put all of those at your edge, bringing the storage and the compute onto your edge device, and we're performing a database to database synchronization whenever data is available. So I'm sure that you're doing this in some kind of form at the application layer at the moment, right? So you actually, the application will go and detect whether the connectivity is there. If it does, you actually do something to the local or do something to the edge, the central data warehouse. But you can save all that now, all right? Couchbase will take care of all of those. Also, very interesting functions that we have here is called the device-to-device peer-to-peer sync. So two devices could be my laptop, it could be your cell phone. We can actually, through a network, it could be a WAN, it could be a Bluetooth, we can talk to each other at the database level, all right? So this actually performs some very interesting use case like in a store. Louis Vuitton, they don't like laptops or they don't like PCs in their store. Everyone literally just have an iPad. So how do they actually communicate with each other for the stocks they have? They use the peer-to-peer sync. Okay, so next time you go to LV, have a look. They don't have computer. They have an iPad, and Couchbase runs on it. Okay? So why we actually have the best solution for that? First of all, those are the components, very important. Couchbase Server, which is something we flashed at the beginning of our presentation, talks about all the goodies there. Now we have a component called the Couchbase Lite, which is the full feature NoSQL document database that you can embed. All right? You can literally use SQL statement to query, or obviously you can use the SDK, the KV operation as well. In the middle, we have something called a sync gateway. So this is a sync mechanism designed for unreliable network. All right? So obviously we have something designed for reliable network. It's called the cross data center replication. Okay? This is a mechanism designed for unreliable network. So in this case, those are the components to actually make, obviously, or secure on, at rest as well as in transport. So this is the mechanism that we have in place to ensure the best solution out there. So how does that work? Very simple analogy. Wavelength. How far away is your application away from your compute and storage? This is just physics, right? The closer you bring your compute and the storage to your application to where you need it, the faster response time you got, right? Very easy. Now, obviously, the Couchbase Lite installed on your mobile devices or on the IoT devices will be able to, perform that. And there is some interesting stats that are coming out from the research on AWS, this one particularly. So this actually talks about what is the percentage improve, right, when you're actually bringing your and storage closer to where you need it. That's the idea. All right. So I don't think I have a lot of time. I got last 5 minutes before I give it to Ben, because I think you probably want to see some very good example rather than Genie was talking a lot of concepts, right? So let me give you the last 5 minutes of what this is going to look like, and I'm going to skip some of the examples, but as you can see, there are many examples along the way that talk about different industry that use leveraging, what we call the edge computing to benefit their customer. So, uptime. I think, this is just a different representation of the slide that I showed you before. The idea you see here is a multi-tier, right? So it's not just like, hey, this is the central database, this is the edge device. We can do a multi-tier. We can have sync gateway to actually sync between different Couchbase server, still through a unreliable network, okay? And then obviously between the edge device, Couchbase Lite, and you can use the sync gateway to sync the data into the Couchbase server as well. That gives you multi-tier capability to handle different kind of situation and scenario, right? And obviously, you have different scenario here, and this particular example, Emirates, when they're actually doing their pre-flight check in the airfield, all right? So they are actually using Couchbase on their tablet devices. And obviously, another very interesting discussion point was about data security and privacy. So imagine that your edge devices have your personal information, which you will not share, you don't want to share. Okay, those data stays locally. You can design what data goes back to the server. Couchbase, alongside with Sync Gateway, give you that capability by configuration. You can select what data goes back. You can aggregate the data, strip out the sensitive information, and send certain amounts of information back. And it does not need to, handle all of those by the application. You just need to say, hey, I want this data. When it actually connects, it goes. Okay. At rest encryption, all of those goodies, as you can see, at rest, on-device replication, authentication, etc., all the goodies, right? Security, we can sit here talk whole days, but I decided to leave that for Ben to show you more details, all right? And obviously, there are some other information, for example, gaming, betting, all right? That was in US, and those are some very good use cases as well. Now, last but not least, let me show you what are the deployment options and what are the language that you can use. So we are actually can deploy in different platforms. Your edge devices could be sitting on your iPad, your tablet, shouldn't be favoriting Apple, all right? Your IoT devices, all right? Raspberry Pi got 2 at home and actually have Couchbase on it. Your laptop, right? Or your desktop, that could be a edge device that could have Couchbase Lite sitting on it. And some of our customers actually putting the branch management system on a Couchbase Lite, right? Or on some of the clinic as well. Okay, imagine that the doctor actually have application runs on a laptop. When they actually open, when they actually connect to the network, certain information gets sent it back to the hospital, and then certain information send it back to the Ministry of Health. Right? So those are very interesting use cases that we can talk about. Obviously, we talk about the wavelength, in terms of the use case, in the medical field, right? Health and care, there are lots of use cases. There are lots of other cases in the field operation as well. Okay, so all in all, I think the key things I want to leave that with you is the speed, right? We'll talk about the superpower, right? Speed, 100% uptime, because now the database and the compute and the storage sits right in your devices, regardless of what the internet conditions you are always on. And obviously, security, governance, very important. And obviously, giving you the flexibility to deploy in any kind of platform will help to accelerate. Now, you probably have not here, all the goodies in the central, Couchbase server yet. I hope you get a chance to, drop by our booth, and then actually we can share with you a lot more about Couchbase server, and in that combination, how we can help you to accelerate your innovation and bring value to your customer as not sooner. Okay, on that note, I would like to pass on to Ben to give you a quick demo. After you see all of those, I want you to feel this is real. Okay? Any questions? Yes. So actually, there are 2 components, right? Three components. One is called the Couchbase Lite, which is a lightweight database you can embed in your edge devices. Okay? And one is Couchbase Server. Okay? So now, there are something that you should never take offline. For example, your bank transactions. You always want to know exactly how much you have in your account. You don't want that to be offline and later on find out I may or may not have that money. Okay? However, there are other field operations which you would like to do that. Later on, Ben will give you an example of insurance broker. Have their tablet, they want to sell you insurance. But what happens if when they sign that premium, there is no internet? We still need to capture the timestamp. You can't tell me that I can't sell you a premium because we are at the garage, have no internet access, or at the basement, right? We can't do that. So that's where Couchbase Lite work as a local database on a tablet, can transact, can actually operate regardless of the condition of the network, right? Or you actually head out in the field, ENR, energy and resources, right? You're performing a field check, right? There is no network. What are you going to do, all right? At the moment, it's all paper, and then come back to the station and you start typing that in, right? So Couchbase Lite will be a very good example in those cases and say, you know what, don't worry. And another good example, sorry, Ben, life-saving. There are a company, a partner of us, built an application on a tablet for emergency responder. So an ambulance goes out, all right? The medical staff actually put in, the patient's, key matrix, right? Whatever treatment they have made and whatever observation they have seen. You can't actually wait for the data to be synchronized back into the database while the ambulance or helicopter traveling through, right? In and out of the zone. So the idea is everything that sits and actually write into the local database. And the database will determine whenever the connection resumes, the data will sync automatically to the server. So by the time you get to the hospital, they already get ready for you. Make sense? All right, cool.